250-pound man shoving a woman on the ground is not an appropriate response.
I'm sorry, but let's not be ridiculous.
I think it's very rational.
She is obviously not talking about Charlie Kirk's murder.
Abby Phillip finally spoke up in a way that many people have been hoping to hear for years. And this time, her response was not directed at Scott Jennings, but at Emily Austin, a sharp and combative far-right MAGA voice who kept pushing the same repeated MAGA arguments that appear almost every night on Abby Phillip's show. And the panel was already full of tension, with guests like Anna Navarro, Bakari Sellers, Peter Meyer, and Sarah Matthews, which made the moment even more intense. And I want to break this down and share my perspective on what happened. So let's dive into it together.
There are versions of the country that happen, right? And the new version doesn't make the old one bad. It's necessary for growth. And I think we're in just a janky version, right?
Yeah, janky's right.
It's a janky version right now.
Tonight, those comments from former First Lady Michelle Obama are drawing some criticism from the usual suspects on the right.
Michelle Obama has some not so nice things to say about America.
Michelle Obama taking a jab at America, shocking, under President Trump's leadership.
I don't care what Michelle Obama has to say, but that arch is someone who's lived in D.C. for more than 30 years.
You know, Clay, for a woman who has everything, why is she always so miserable?
True. Well, I guess maybe there's a bit of a short memory because here are all the things that the current president in the White House has said about this country.
We are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. Our country is an embarrassment. This country has gone to hell. The American dream is dead. Portland is, I don't know how anybody lives there. Baltimore is a hellhole. Chicago is the worst. These places are really bad. In Washington, D.C., which is a horror show. We're like a garbage can for the world. Under Biden, the USA has been turned into a dumping ground. Today, we're like a third world country. Our country is being destroyed by stupid people.
Agree. Starting with him.
I mean, I don't care what Michelle Obama said, and honestly, like, it's really not that big of a deal, but I continue to listen to it because I saw it was a topic tonight. And she went on to say, I'm really digging how people are responding to this administration. And that really bothered me because I don't know if you're turning on other news channels, but Charlie Kirk was murdered. Savannah Hernandez was beat up by a fat, angry man in Minnesota.
I think she was talking about Charlie Kirk being murdered.
No, but she said, no, she went on to talk about how people are resisting the administration.
She talked about Minneapolis. She talked about people showing up in Minneapolis.
And people are violent, and we all saw Savannah.
47 people have died in ICE custody under Trump.
And a fat man talk about violence to the ground, 250-pound man shoving a woman on the ground is not an appropriate response.
I'm sorry, but let's not be ridiculous.
I think it's very rational.
She is obviously not talking about Charlie Kirk's murder.
That was one example I gave.
Talking about
Nick Shirley being hunted down,
using their constitutional rights to protest against, to peacefully protest against things that they don't like. And she's using her constitutional rights to describe
you're talking about Minneapolis, where we also saw 2 American citizens be murdered in the streets.
We also
honestly, let's not be ridiculous should be the name of Abby Phillip's show, because she could say it to these people every single night, whether it's Emily Austin, Scott Jennings, or Ben Ferguson, since they keep pushing the same kind of over-the-top arguments again and again, and it just comes off as completely unserious. Like they're all cut from the same mold. Especially voices like Emily Austin, who come across harsh, negative, and quick to talk over anyone who disagrees. And the same goes for the men, too, with Scott Jennings and Ben Ferguson showing that exact same pattern, almost like they're being produced side by side with identical styles and attitudes. And Emily Austin in particular leans heavily on the usual set of talking points that we hear all the time.
I mean, come on, that's what she's talking about. We're in a janky period of America where we're seeing American citizens be targeted.
Did she mention any of the things that words that you're putting in your mouth?
No, she mentioned Minnesota, which I thought was ironic given what just happened to Savannah. This is all over the news today. I think
she was talking about the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy.
But she didn't say that. So the way you interpreted it,
she was talking about the Minnesota, Minneapolis showing up in defense of their community.
But they are not peacefully defending a community.
They were very peaceful.
I watched the footage.
I watched the footage of 3 people. Agreed, and you could also simultaneoously agree.
This is a ridiculous. Honestly, this is a ridiculous.
What a ridiculous angle we're going down.
Let's move on from that.
I thought that what she was getting at is that I actually found what she was saying to be incredibly hopeful. She's saying that no matter how bleak it feels right now, that she's betting on the power of America, that we can always course correct, that even if things feel dark right now.
I hear your translation.
It is a janky, broken period for America.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. And the fact is that Michelle Obama, for a long period of time from conservatives, has gotten just an unfair, I mean, they've talked about her looks. They called her out her name. They called her an ape. They called her a monkey. Michelle Obama is
and Melania spared from that? It's every first lady that gets screwed.
They called her a man. And if you go online, you will see so many posts and comments repeating that same claim about Michelle Obama. And the real question is, do they ever say anything like that about Melania? And the answer is no.
We're not necessarily talking about the same thing, but I'm going to finish. Michelle Obama is one of the most talented people we have who've entered this political sphere. She's very educated. She's very well spoken. She's a beautiful woman. And all she's doing is speaking her mind right now. And the trouble that Republicans have, and the trouble that you have, Emily, it's fascinating to watch, is that when you have a black woman who is speaking her truth.
This is not about skin color, but
No, I'm just saying. Because everyone has this same, it's the same reverberation. When you have a black woman that's speaking her truth, the way that she is, with the power that she is, with the education that she does, there's no comparison between Michelle Obama and Melania Trump. You want to talk about education level? You want to talk about job attainment?
I'm just not playing identity politics. And again, Newsom's wife is an idiot too, and she's white.
We're not even talking about identity. We're talking about achievement. We're talking about the fact that she has a JD.
I never knocked on that.
No, we're talking about she has a JD. We're talking about the fact that she's never posed nude.
That's
talking
lovely.
But that's the difference.
She's never had to deny.
And she's never had to deny
Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't recall knocking on any of that. I simply said I find it disturbing that today of all days she mentioned Minnesota.
And the crazy thing about it, when I said that, you said identity, and I'm like, no.
Because you happen to mention that she's black,
no,
and I don't care. I actually think she might be a lovely woman.
The achievement of Michelle Obama intimidates many people on the right, and that's okay. You know what she's doing tonight? She's probably having a little cranberry and Tito's and having a good time, understanding that it drives you all.
She is.
Bakari Sellers makes a strong point that much of this behavior ties back to racism, especially when you think about those AI images from a while ago that showed Michelle Obama and Barack Obama as apes, which is clearly offensive and widely understood as racist. And then there's that strange claim people keep pushing about her being a man, calling her Michael instead of Michelle, which may not always be framed as racism, but still comes across as completely absurd. And a lot of the hostility toward her seems to grow out of that same mindset. But beyond that, there is a broader pattern where MAGA and many on the right act as if they are the only ones allowed to criticize the United States, because they often praise it as the greatest country while also describing it as broken or dangerous. Yet when Democrats or people on the left point out real issues, they are told to leave and go somewhere else, as if their voices do not count. And you can see this clearly in how Emily Austin speaks here while interrupting Anna Navarro and even Abby Phillip as the host, especially when she mocks the idea of peaceful protest, since in their view, protest is never truly peaceful. Whether it involves movements like No Kings, Black Lives Matter, or demonstrations against ICE, they label all of it as violent, no matter what actually happens, which shows they do not really support protest at all. And if figures like Emily Austin or Scott Jennings had been around during the Boston Tea Party, they likely would have called those protesters troublemakers as well. Because for them, criticism and protest only seem acceptable when it comes from their own side.
That's the last word, everyone. Thank you. We'll be back in a moment.
No, did you have?
Emily Austin and a lot of MAGA voices keep following this same pattern. Because in that Fox News clip, when they question why she sounds so unhappy about everything, what they really push is the idea that if someone on the left says things could be better or need fixing, they get labeled as negative. But when Donald Trump talks about America like it is full of problems, he is praised as someone being real and honest, while they blame people like Obama and Biden for damaging the country and say Trump is there to repair it. And at that point, it becomes obvious they are not concerned with consistency, because no matter what you say, they are not going to agree with you. And the only realistic outcome is that many of these same voices will eventually move on. Because we have seen before that when Trump is no longer at the center of attention, a lot of his supporters will act like they were never with him. And you can already tell where Emily Austin stands, since she was recently at a UFC event taking pictures with Trump. but give it a few years, and as his support keeps dropping, she will likely distance herself, like others will. Even though none of them will come back later and admit that Michelle Obama or anyone else they criticized had a point. Because instead, they will shift their focus to the next figure, like J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, and carry on as if none of this ever happened. And that is why it is worth asking what you think about this entire exchange. Whether you agree with Emily Austin's claim that protests are mostly violent and her habit of using one example to generalize, and whether you see her comments as racist, as Bakari Sellers suggested, especially in the way Michelle Obama is treated. Because while race clearly plays a role, it also feels like anyone criticizing their side would face the same reaction, since in their view, criticism of their leader is simply not accepted. So let me know your thoughts on this Abby Phillip panel discussion.